Hi, YouTube family. Namaste. Lisa A. Romano here, the life coach. And today we're going to talk about something that's really, really cool. And I'm going to help you understand why it is you might be so critical of others. Before we get started, please, dear ones, consider subscribing to this channel and also sharing it, because when you do, you share the love. And these videos come at you from a complete place of love. Like, all I want to do is help you love yourself, because when you love yourself, you become a light body. And the more of a light body that you become, the more you're able to impact and affect other people. And how cool is that? So if you are the adult child of an alcoholic, or you are the adult child of someone who has absolutely abused you and played with your head your whole life, sit tight. You're not alone. So today we're going to talk about why it is we might be critical of others and what we can do to change it. Oh yeah, I want to say also thank you so much for those of you who have taken the time to tell me what videos you like and what to include in the videos. This video is coming at you because someone actually wrote me and asked me to do a video on why she thinks she's so critical of other people and what she can do to help herself change it. And so basically, dear ones, those of us who have come from dysfunctional homes. Okay, so what's a dysfunctional home? A dysfunctional home is a home where you were taught as a child that what you thought and what you felt was unimportant. A functional home, a healthy home, allows children to be who they are. So children are supposed to be carefree. Everything is supposed to be about the child. Everything is supposed to be about nurturing this child. Unfortunately, way too many parents, including myself, especially when I had my first child 26 years ago, I came at having a child from a very selfish place. I thought that by having this baby, I was going to be somehow magically fulfilled, which was honestly a very narcissistic place to come from. I had a very difficult relationship with my mom, and I thought by having my own child, I was going to be able to fix all that. That I was going to give my child everything that I thought my mom didn't give me. And then my child, poof, was just going to magically love me, and I was going to feel fulfilled, and, butterflies were going to suddenly, be springing up everywhere and flying around my head, and everything was going to be great. Totally ridiculous, unrealistic, stupid. But I didn't know any better. And so, I did what my mother did. My mother came from an alcoholic home and was so abused by both her mom and dad in more ways than one. More unobvious ways than there were obvious ways. And so she married my dad at 19 and thought, I'll have a baby and I won't drink and everything will be fine and this baby will love me. Well, okay. So both my mom and I came at mothering and motherhood the wrong way, from the wrong angle. Both of us, and I could cry just thinking about it when I think about the young mother that I was and my mindset. I'm going to have a baby and that baby's going to fulfill me. How selfish is that? This is a little innocent baby. It was my job to have this child and to figure out how I can help this child become his light body, how I can make his life about him and help him honor his little self. I was so insecure and so unfulfilled and so needing love when I had this baby that I was not thinking correctly. And I ended up putting a lot of expectations on this child and really did think that if I do everything that my mother didn't do, then this child will be perfect and will love me. And so when my child started acting like a child and started to act up, I felt like, oh my God, why is he doing this to me? Why is he doing this to me? Which is narcissistic. Now, I'm not saying that I was a narcissist in the sense that, I didn't care about how other people felt. But certainly the way I went at motherhood was more narcissistic than anything. And it came from a place of not understanding and unawareness and acting out my program. What programming? The programming my mother put inside my head. The expectations my mother had of me. And I just did what she did, because I was unaware, living below the veil, and I wasn't yet a light body. I was living through the false self and not my true self. And being able to sit here, at 50 years old and say to you that 26 years ago, when I actually gave birth to my child, it was all about me. It was about me being able to do the things that my mother couldn't do. Haha, Ma, I'm better than you. That was also part of my unconscious programming. And see, I'm going to have a better relationship with my child because I'm going to do things you didn't do. So again, if you take a giant step back, very narcissistic, very egotistical way to come at motherhood. This child, I was going to do all the right things, and this baby was going to prove to the world what a wonderful mother I was. And boy, did I make a lot of mistakes. So, rewinding the tape, this video is about why we are so critical of others, but I needed to explain that part of who I am, and so you guys can understand that a lot of my work, well, all of my spiritual work has been about policing my own thoughts, turning over every emotional stone, turning over every thought in my head, questioning everything, including why I became a mother. And I remember being a young mom of 3 children going through this divorce, and the stress of the divorce. I put on some weight. Actually, my weight went up and down. But I remember the point in my life where I was really unhappy, and I was embracing, finally giving myself permission to say, I'm not happy. I know everybody else thinks I should be, including mom and dad, and my sister and brother, and my in-laws, and my passive-aggressive husband, who was a mama's boy, who everybody loved because he was, the kind of person that told you what you wanted to hear. And I was like honest, so people didn't like me because I wasn't playing games with you. Like if you asked me something, I told you the truth. My ex-husband, he gave you the answer you wanted to hear. So he was really easy to like. But it was crazy because he was not the same person when there were no witnesses. He was a different person. Now that made me question my reality. And because I was so codependent, I worried about what other people thought. So because my perception of him didn't match other people's perception of him, I doubted myself. And I was miserable. And that added to why I was so angry, because I didn't know that I was seeking validation from outside of self. I did not know that I was not honoring self. I didn't know. I didn't know that I wasn't listening to my gut instincts. I didn't know. I was so overreactive. And codependents, adult children of alcoholics, are generally very reactive, overreactive. They don't act from a position of power. What do I want? What do I think? What do I need? What do I feel? No. It's all about us complaining, us whining. We're irritated. We tell people we're irritated. Nothing gets done about it. And we huff and we puff and we kick the dog and we slam some cabinets. We yell at the kids. We tell them to shut up and get in bed, mind your own goddamn business. We don't have sex with our spouses, or we shove them off, or, we forget to buy their favorite shaving cream or whatever it is. And we think that that's the way to deal with things, but it's not. You're not dealing with anything. You're reacting to things and you're staying stuck. And that adds to why you're so damn ornery, dear one. Totally understandable. You want to know why? Because when you come from a dysfunctional home, no one teaches you how to cope. On top of it, your feelings are important. So you don't know how to ask yourself how you feel. Deeper, you don't know how to honor what you feel. So the fact that you're in this state of stagnation is not your fault. But this video comes at you with the spirit of love, and if you've been attracted to it, that means you're ready to change. At least you're ready to change in the sense that you're ready to look at the way you think, and to contemplate the way you think, and to consider thinking a new way. Dear ones, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Everything stays the same. It sounds kind of simple and common sense, but Lord knows common sense ain't so common. So if you're attracted to this, please heed what is being said. Now, getting back to how I was turning over every thought process in my mind so that I could begin attracting a healthy life for my children, because all I was doing was recycling my childhood programming and teaching my children to stay stuck by complaining and not taking responsibility for how I feel. Okay. So here I am, this young mom with 3 kids going through this really nasty divorce, and everybody is pissed because Lisa is finally saying, I'm not happy, and to my family, I'm selfish. You see, I'm taking care of myself. That's a theme in an ACOA home. If you dare get a manicure, or dare spend more than 20 bucks on a shirt, or dare spend more than $19 on a pair of flip-flops, you is selfish. You know what I'm talking about. If you come from a dysfunctional home, you have been judged and you have been criticized, especially when you take care of yourself. So here I am saying, I'm not happy. I know I have all these things that should make me happy. And God, I know I have 3 healthy children and they are a blessing. And my health is a blessing. I get it, but I'm not happy with this person I'm living with. He's driving me crazy. He's draining me. He's like a vampire. Oh my God. So finding the courage to tell that truth was so difficult because I was programmed not to tell my truth. I was programmed to disown myself. I was afraid to act on self because that was selfish. And I was so much seeking validation from my mother and my father and my sister and my brother and the outside world, and so afraid what the neighbors were going to think, that I just kept staying stuck. So here I am in recovery, and I'm turning over every emotional stone, dissecting every fiber of my being. I mean, I'm going for broke. Like, I'm not going down this road again. I'm going to get healed and never do whatever it was that I was doing that got me in this mess in the first place. I'm done. I'm not doing it again. So I'm going to suffer through this. It's going to suck. I'm going to let the crap hit the fan. You know, it's going to be all over my face. I'm going to smell for a little while. I'm going to spend some time in the hot seat, but I don't care because I'm doing this once. I'm never going down this road again. It was that painful. So here I am, I got these 3 kids, and I remember I'm driving down the road in my crappy minivan because my ex-husband towed my car out of the driveway. Whatever, I'm a survivor. I went to Major Auto World in Queens, and I got myself some freaking minivan. Okay, whatever. So I'm a survivor, right? Driving down the road in my minivan, and I see this really, really pretty young mom with this long ponytail, bopping side to side, you know the kind, right? Skinny little thing, adorable young woman. And I know her from my kid's school, and she's going into a gym. And my first thought was, you bitch. You selfish bitch. And I remember going through my recovery thinking, and part of where I was then was I was carrying a notebook with me. And I suggest you do the same. And every time I heard myself, the negative self-talk, kick out a negative phrase about someone else, I wrote it down. So my mind was sort of in a very non-aware state. And in its non-aware state, this program surfaced like, you selfish bitch. And I didn't react to it. I heard it. And I listened to it. And then what I did was I pulled over, I told the kids, relax, mommy's got to pull over. I pulled over and I wrote down what I said about this woman that I didn't even know, that I was judging, that I was criticizing. And I wrote it down. And it really shook me up because I thought, how many times in a day am I criticizing people and I don't even know it? And how horrible is that? Like, I don't even know this person. I have no right to criticize her. So I go home, I do my motherly duties, you know the deal, especially as a single mom. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, doing homework, trying to get the kids ready and trying to be kind and whatever. So now it's me and my journal, right? And I'm thinking about what happened during the day. And it really, really upset me to think that I didn't know this person and I was judging her. So this is what I walked away with. What I began to understand was my judging her was a projection of a number of things. Back to the beginning, I was always judged in my family. Being critical was truly a part of my being. It was a part of my history. It's what my parents did. My parents not only judged me, they judged anybody who seemed to have self-esteem. Anybody. As a matter of fact, my dad used to sing all of us this song, you is an ugly child. Who could your daddy be? If I was your daddy, I'd go jump in the sea. I mean, this is what we heard over and over and over and over. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but his reasoning is, I didn't want a stuck-up child. I didn't want a stuck-up child. So, okay, what does that mean? Now, unfortunately, my father was never someone who took it to the next level and said, well, if I don't want a stuck-up child, what do I want? He didn't realize that by crippling our sense of self-esteem, by crippling us, by making fun of the way we looked, that what he was actually doing was making us doubt ourselves, making us think that we were ugly, making us believe that we were unworthy. He actually put a veil over us, like a cape over us, to the point he locked us in chains because we were so afraid, my brother, my sister, and I were so afraid to step out of the box, to be ourselves, because our father had taught us that we were ugly and that, we should be ashamed of ourselves, so for one reason or another. It sounds crazy, but really, honestly, I'm not justifying it. I'm just trying to explain what his disposition was. Now, today, as an adult woman, I say, well, congratulations, Dad, because it worked. You crippled all of us. We had no self-esteem. We had no sense of self. So congratulations, it worked. And then his excuse is now like, well, we didn't have psychology books back then. I'm thinking, who needs a psychology book? Are you kidding me? If you don't want a stuck-up child, that means that you're going to have an insecure child. And what's that about? So I think, in my opinion, what happened in our life was that my parents really required control. And crippled children are easy to control. But a crippled soul is easy to control. A crippled woman who's married to a domestically abusive husband is easy to control. A man who's whipped by an aggressive wife is easy to control. In society, if we're afraid of other nations, then our nation, we're easily controlled by our government because we're being taught to hate other nations. So if we're being taught to fear another nation and look what's coming down the pike, then it's easy to control us. If we can fuel our media outlets and our newspapers with racism and fuel it with hatred, then we can suggest that the atmosphere of the world is dangerous, and we've got something to fear. And it's so much easier to control a man if he's got fear in his being. And so I really think that's where my parents were coming from. Being confident. If we were confident and we said no to our parents, it would have been hard for them to control us. And so crippling us, although it wasn't their intention, it's what they did, it made it easier for us to be controlled. So here I am journaling and thinking about this hatred that I spewed onto this beautiful young woman who loved herself enough to drop the kids off and take some time out for herself, which makes her a better mom because she's less stressed. I mean, here's someone like me. Here I was, a martyr, doing everything on my own, afraid to ask for help. And I was miserable. I was ornery. I was irritable. And I was resentful. And I was doing everything wrong. Really doing everything wrong because of fear. And so what I realized was, I was taught to be critical. My parents were critical. My parents criticized me. Okay, so here is this program for criticism. Criticize other people. Criticize people who take care of themselves. People who take care of themselves are selfish. This is the undertow in my brain, okay? Now, from 0 to 7, you are most impressed by what happens at home because your brain is a sponge. And so if you listen to mom and dad criticize that beautiful young girl, that you learn to criticize beautiful young girls. So 7 to 12, you're most influenced by your peers. And so still influenced by what's going on at home because you're still dependent on these people. So if you are around peers that criticize one another, or if you're criticized by your peers, there you go. There's some more programming for criticism. So when I was 12, I felt criticized by the kids in school, and I was. From 7 to 12, I was called all sorts of names. I was called the man because I was always very strong. I was called Herc. I was called the chimp. I mean, it's really not funny. But I mean, this was the way I was harassed in school. Now, I have all these programmings because all this programming don't realize that the criticism that I'm receiving from school is also a projection because of what I received at home. So I was literally attracting more criticism because I was insecure, because I toned myself down. I actually went into school looking like a victim, and I attracted persecutors. Interesting how that happens. Hard to swallow when you really think about it, but it really is true. I went into school with my dukes up. Like, who's going to say something? Like, ready to fight. Because my skin was so raw from growing up in a home where I was always criticized and made fun of. And God forbid I cry. Because if I cried, I was made fun of for crying. Oh, you're Sarah Bernhardt. Oh, you're an actress. Don't pay any attention to her. Oh, she's such a drama queen. Just ignore her and she'll stop. You want to cry? Go upstairs and cry. I don't want to listen to your crap. Go upstairs and cry. God damn it. God damn it. So we weren't allowed to cry. So I stuffed it instead. So me being vulnerable was a scary thing. So I didn't go into school being vulnerable. I went up into school with my dukes up. I went in with an armor. But no one could have known that I wanted more than anything. I wanted and needed a friend more than anything. So here we have this program for being criticized. So now here I am, an adult woman, criticizing this young, beautiful woman. But the other thing is, what happened was my parents set me up to criticize self. So my criticism of this person was all projection. All projection of what? Projection of the way I was criticized and now the way I criticize myself. So criticizing that young woman who, God bless her, and I ask the universe many times over to forgive me for any criticism I have ever bestowed on another innocent human being, because it's completely not fair. But she showed up in my life to show me something. And because I was in a state of allowing, and I was in a state of surrender, and I needed, and I truly, truly desired to figure out what was wrong, I believe that is why I received the message. And so, dear one, on your journey, it will help you to go into every day in a state of surrender. When you get to a point in your recovery process that you can accept that everything that's showing up is a projection of something that you've experienced in life that needs to be resolved. If you are always stuck in traffic, I think that's because you is impatient and you need to work on that. Seriously. Since I'm recovered, or I feel like I'm recovered, I don't get stuck in traffic. It's amazing. I get the nicest cashiers. No joke. Today I did my food shopping, came back. Now on the way home, it starts pouring. Visibility is ridiculous, and all I hear myself saying, that's okay, because when I get home, I know it's going to stop raining. I even bought these cute little iron things, these flowers to put in my garden. I thought, no problem. When I get home, I know it's going to stop raining, and I'm going to be able to put these little things in my garden. I'm not going to get wet. I know it. Sure enough, I pull onto my block, and the rain stops. I'm not kidding. I turn my windshield wipers off, and I'm giggling to myself. It's amazing. When you begin healing and you begin surrendering to the idea that everything in your life is a projection, and when you stop fighting it, when you just accept that what's happening in the now is an indicator. If you don't like what's happening in the now, it's an indicator that something's not resolved, and you need to get humble. Biblically speaking, only the meek and the humble shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. And I really believe that we're supposed to die to a false self and be resurrected in a new self. And the world is an abundant place. There is no lack. There's no such thing as lack in this world. There is an abundance of food, but yet we have people who are starving. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. We have clothes. I mean, I don't know about where you live, but every clothes drop-off center around my area is stuffed. So when I see people in third world countries with no shoes, I think, what's happening? There's an abundance of shoes that people don't want to wear that we can definitely send to countries and clothe these children. Children should not be dying of starvation, not in this country, not in any other country. There's no lack in this world, none, absolutely none. So a lot of things that are happening in our life are happening because we are projecting the lack of self onto the world. Dear one, we are perfect. okay? We are perfect. There is no such thing as separation. None. The only thing that we need to worry about is our humanity. Truly. We need to worry about the humanity of self. We need to nurture self. We need to self-correct. We need to reframe our perception of self. If you have a negative perception of self, that's because somebody did that to you. No joke. No joke. Because you were born an innocent soul. And within you is still that beautiful innocent soul. Absolutely. There's no other truth out there. You at your core are perfect and divine. And you and I and everything else, we are one. The stuff that's in me is the same stuff that makes up the stars. Isn't that cool? The stuff that's in you, you are literally made of the stuff that makes the stars up. I mean, that's incredible. So, dear one, healing is possible, but you must understand that you have to be willing to understand that whatever is going on in your experience is a projection of what's going on within self, something that you need to heal. If you keep attracting men that need to be saved, that tells me that you witnessed somebody in your life, perhaps mom, that you think needed to be saved and she just didn't get saved. Or maybe mom was an alcoholic and you wanted to save her from the drinking and you couldn't do it. So now you're attracting alcoholic men that you wish that you could save. Dear one, knock it off. Knock it off. That's just a program. That's it. Accept it. That program's there, but now we have to reprogram. We need to recreate. We need to lay down new tracks. So how do we do that? One of the things that you can do is when you start attracting needy people, look for the danger signs, listen for the red flags, then honor it and say, I don't want to attract needy men anymore. I don't want to attract alcoholics anymore. I'm done. I want an equal partner. I want someone who can love me. But here's the catch. You can't attract someone who loves you from an emotionally healthy place until you love yourself emotionally from a healthy place. So, the healing process involves many, many steps. And you learn to hate yourself through consistency and repetition. And the only way you're going to learn to love yourself is through consistency and repetition. You cannot watch this video for half an hour and think, oh, I'm healed. Ain't going to happen. But if you watch these videos over and over and over, especially at nighttime and in the morning, you want to set your emotional tone. So if you're the smartest person in your group, you need new friends. You need new friends. Consider me your new friend. Every day. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world because I'm not. And I am in a constant state of learning, and I look forward to learning more. I love it because I'm expanding, and the universe is expanding. And that's why you're here, to expand. If you're not growing, then you literally are dying. Spiritually, you're dying, and energetically, you're dying. So get on the healing and the growing path, dear one. Your life doesn't have to change overnight, and it shouldn't. This should be an incremental thing. But certainly, you need to start, if you want to heal and create a future life, let's say a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 15 years from now. It'll only get better if you never give up. So surrender is the key, dear one, okay? Acceptance, humility. If there's something going on in your life that you don't like, take accountability for it, question it. What's going on with me? If you're always stuck in traffic or you're always angry, you need to figure out, who are you angry with? Who is angry with you as a child? Who do you feel that you have unresolved business with? Who do you need to forgive? Can you forgive yourself? What areas of your life are you recreating the patterns of the past? What areas of your life are you ignoring that you need to take responsibility for? Who in your life is draining you? Who are you trying to save that doesn't want to be saved, that just wants to complain? So these are the questions that you need to ask yourself, and if you really want to heal. So, when you learn to be less critical of self, that's when you become less critical of other people. When you understand that you was abused, little one, you was abused. When you're critical of yourself, that means somebody abused you mentally and emotionally, and that's not your fault. So forgive yourself. Honor that little soul inside of you. Tell your little soul that no more, I'm not going to criticize you anymore. And every time you hear a criticism of self, Correct it. Say, I'm sorry to self. Please forgive me to self. Tell self, I love you, self. I'm going to love you like nobody loved you, self. I'm going to give myself, you, everything that I never got. I'm going to take care of you. I'm not going to abuse you anymore. And eventually, dear one, the love begins to come into your soul. You begin to step into the stream of abundance. We've got to stop pinching ourselves off from the stream of abundance that is everywhere. There is no such thing as lack. There is only love. There is only the stream of abundance, and you are either going with the flow or going against the flow. Far too many of us, if you're an ACOA from an active alcoholic home or a dry home, if you've been abused and you come from an abusive home, the reality is you have been taught to pinch yourself off from your divine self. And I come into your life and come into your home, come into your office, come into your head, come into your mind, come into your soul, asking you to release the clamp. That's all. That's all. Just release the clamp. Let the love come in so that you can step into the stream of abundance. There's only the only law that you have to pay attention to in order to create abundance in your life is the law of cause and effect. If you've been abused, then you abuse yourself, and you will abuse others to a certain degree. And whether you acknowledge that or not, it's true. We do to ourselves what was done to us, but here's the key, we also do it to other people. And that's like swallowing glass, like, yeah, I've hurt other people, and yep, in my mind, I'm critical of others. But we have the ability to think above the veil. We have the ability to change. So dear ones, I really hope that this video has inspired you. Now, I have a call to action. Please share this video, because if it helps one person be less critical of me, or helps one person be less critical of you or their neighbor, think about on a level in terms of multiplying that. Think about what happens when people begin being less critical. They're less fearful of other people, and they're more loving. And more love moves into the world because more love gets to move into our heart space, and then we begin emitting that love. So please, dear ones, share this video. Begin living this information. And also, please follow me on Twitter, because I respond. In most cases, I'll respond right away. My Twitter handle is Lisa A. Romano 1. You can reach me there. Also, ask me questions in the comment box. I try to answer each and every one of you. Look me up on Google+. I have a community for adult children of alcoholics stuck in the past no more. So please check that out. Also, if you're interested in the law of attraction stuff and how the law of attraction can help you heal, check out my book, Quantum Tools to Help You Heal Your Life Now. I'm the author of The Road Back to Me, My Road Beyond the Codependent Divorce, Loving the Self-Affirmations, and Quantum Tools to Help You Heal Your Life Now. Currently working on my 5th book, and I also do workshops that deal with strategies, pure strategies on how to fix. Lots of books out there can help you figure out that you are an adult child of an alcoholic, or you are an emotionally abused child from a narcissistic home. But not many books tell you what the hell to do about it. My next book will tell you how to take care of that. It will give you strategy steps. That's what I teach in my workshops and my teleclasses. Dear ones, God bless you. You are God. You are divine. I am God. Where I am, you are. You are in me, and I am in you, and we are in the stars. We are in the trees. We are in the air. We are in the water. We are everywhere. There is no such thing as separation. We are one. There is only the stream of abundance, dear ones. There's only love. We're either pinching ourselves off from it or jumping into it and allowing it to flow. Dear one, it is my prayer that you allow love to flow into your heart today. Thank you for allowing me into your heart.